All right, buckle up. We begin this morning with a Fox News alert from President Donald Trump vowing to fight back after being removed from the GOP primary ballot in Colorado. The state Supreme Court ruling that Trump violated the 14th Amendment of the Constitution because of January the 6th.
The Colorado Supreme Court confirmed that the district court got it right, that he did engage in insurrection. I think Section 3 of the 14th Amendment has to apply to the presidency, because if not, it's a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Literally, Jack Smith, who would charge Donald Trump with absolutely everything, including jaywalking if he could get away with it, didn't even charge Donald Trump or most of the rioters on January 6th with insurrection.
Presidential candidate and former Governor Ron DeSantis and current Florida Governor Ron DeSantis calling it an abuse of power, and the U.S. Supreme Court should reverse the decision.
And the White House hopeful Vivek Ramaswamy taking things a step further. Listen to this, saying, I pledge to withdraw from the Colorado GOP primary ballot until Trump is also allowed to be on the ballot. The former president spoke yesterday in Iowa.
They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. I just happen to be standing in their way.
Well, the Trump campaign team wants to have the matter settled by the U.S. Supreme Court before a January 5th deadline, if he wants to be on the ballot in Colorado.
Yo, what's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another one, guys. As we just seen from that previous clip, we've got the Dems pulling out all the stops. I think this is about the craziest turn of events we've seen unfolding right before our eyes. This is absolute madness going on in Colorado right now, as the Colorado Supreme Court has made a very questionable ruling to take Trump's name off that 2024 ballot. Of course, there's backlash all over the country. Patriots and Americans are now, crying out to get Trump's name back on that 2024 ticket. I'm excited to check out what's going on. So we're going to hop straight into the clip, and then I'll get my thoughts on the back end, guys. So definitely stick around until the end so you guys get my thoughts on the back end. But let's get straight into the news, guys. Before we do that, though, make sure you guys hit that like button, guys. It does not cost a thing. Hit that like button for your boy, and also hit that subscribe button as we're on the road to the truth. Hop aboard for the journey. Let's get into it, y'all.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Benny. Here's a non-esoteric, very real, terrifying question for Democrat oligarchs and elites that keep them up at night in cold sweats. What happens when Orange Hitler kicks arse? What happens when the man who's very, very popular, who we've said is a threat to democracy, and you can't vote for him because he's an insurrectionist? What happens when the American public tells us to get bent? What happens when the American public prefers this man? What happens when they vote in spite of everything we've thrown at him for Donald Trump in massive numbers like we've never seen before? Check this out, ladies and gentlemen, from the Real Clear Politics polls today. This is the historic split between Donald Trump and Joe Biden right now, with Donald Trump winning by 6-point spreads against Joe Biden. This is the end of the end. This is the end of their oligarchy. This is the end of their control over media and minds. This is the end of their control over a system that has only benefited them. And so it must be protected at all costs. And so everything must be thrown against Donald Trump. They've tried lawfare. They've tried the courts. They've tried criminal cases. They've tried everything they can. And it's all failed. In fact, Donald Trump has only become more popular. So what's next? What's next is the next iteration of third world lawfare. Get the Supreme Court to declare that Donald Trump is disqualified for office. That's right. This is what they've done actually in other third world nations around the world. They just did this in Brazil, actually, to Jair Bolsonaro. And now it's happening here in America. We would invade other countries for doing this to their presidential candidates, but now it's happening in Colorado, of all places. Colorado Supreme Court rules Trump is disqualified from running for president, removed from the state ballot under the 14th Amendment for engaging in an insurrection. A couple of quick, very important things here. An insurrection is an armed takeover or attempted overthrow of the government. Donald Trump said march peacefully. Nobody was armed. Nobody attempted to overthrow anything. In fact, everyone left when peacefully asked That's what happened. Everything else is a psyop. All of it is a psyop. They're using an old Civil War law that says that if you were a Confederate and you fought a war against the Union, you can no longer hold office. And even those were stayed back in the 1860s. The American legal system said even this is like technically unconstitutional. Section 3, Article 14 amendment bars officials from seeking future office that should have engaged in insurrection. This hasn't been used since the Civil War. The decision may not stick. Trump plans to appeal it at the Supreme Court, and the Republican National Committee has also plans to sue. Colorado Supreme Court did, in fact, though, rule that according to the insurrection of January 6th, which is fake, you see now why they must protect that narrative so much. You see why they hate us so much for exposing this. A 4-3 decision, the Democrat appointed justices, by the way, every Supreme Court justice in Colorado has been appointed by a Democrat. The High Court ruled the ex-president and 2024 hopeful is not eligible for the presidency and would be kept off the Colorado ballot. The 14th Amendment was approved after the Civil War and bars officials from seeking future office that engaged in insurrection. Do you understand what game they're playing? Do you understand why they use the word insurrection so much? How they beat it into the ground. They hammered it bloody into the earth. Insurrection, 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 even though Donald Trump hasn't been charged for insurrection. Nobody's filed a seditious conspiracy or insurrection charge against Donald Trump. So what the Colorado court is doing here is twofold. And I'm going to talk to you about how it's all fake here in just a second. So don't get too keyed up. It's all fake. All of this is fake. None of this is actually real. But they're trying to elicit a response out of you. Okay? So listen very carefully. They're essentially saying that the First Amendment isn't real. This is how you get a 9-0 Supreme Court decision against you. These libs in Colorado and these absolute and total like seething degenerates in Colorado are effectively saying, and here's their ruling, a majority of the court holds that President Trump is disqualified from holding the office of president under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Because he is disqualified, it would be a wrongful act under the Election Code of Colorado, Secretary of State, to list him as a candidate for ballot. And then they get to the very important part right here that we'll get to in a second about the stay. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the decision that they've made, and this is making all of the headlines. But it's very important to look and read between the lines as to what's happening here. First, they're saying that Donald Trump, effectively by questioning the outcome of an election, which presidents have done effectively since the first election in America, like since John Adams versus Thomas Jefferson, right? The first contested presidential election. People have been contesting elections here in America. So this isn't new. Secondarily, it's certainly not new to have alternate electors and to challenge the election and so forth in the courts that Donald Trump did. And thirdly, Donald Trump saying that he thinks it's a stolen election isn't wrong because we have a First Amendment and you can say what you think given the First Amendment. This effectively eviscerates the First Amendment. Forget the 14th Amendment. Screw the Civil War. Screw all of this stuff. It just eliminates Donald Trump's ability to talk. Donald Trump can't even say what he thinks. Under this exact same thinking, you could put Hillary Clinton in jail. It's the exact same thing. Al Gore should be in prison. Al Gore should be behind bars. Because both of them, along with Stacey Abrams, along with everyone, along with every Democrat that's lost over the last 50 years, has said it's been stolen from them. The elections were stolen from them. And so every one of them should be disqualified from the ballot given this ruling. This is an insane, absolute bold ruling that has zero legal merits. And we haven't even gotten to the actual point of the ruling here, okay? Here's what CNN is going with. Colorado Supreme Court removes Trump from 2024 ballot based on the 14th Amendment insurrectionist ban. Again, Donald Trump has not been charged ever with insurrection. Donald Trump has not been found guilty of insurrection or seditious conspiracy or anything. Here are the 4 enemies of democracy in the Colorado Supreme Court that voted to remove Donald Trump from the ballot. Here are their faces. Remember their faces. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, God. Oh, low T. Oh, man. Low T. It is incredibly despicable, this ruling. And it's meant for a purpose. It is meant to irritate you. It is meant to inflame you. It is meant to get you to do something stupid. Remember that. We'll get to that in just a second. I'm gonna show you how this ruling is actually fake. Ben Carson saying Colorado just decided to disenfranchise the people of their state by choosing to remove Donald Trump from the ballot. The government is big enough to give you everything. It is big enough to take away everything, including your ability to choose a president. That is so very true. In other words, A state court has found Trump guilty of a federal crime in which he's never been charged based on informal allegations of unlawful conduct that took place 2,000 miles from the court's jurisdiction. This is patently absurd, says Ed Morrissey. Absolutely absurd, of course. Colorado Supreme Court got the First Amendment in a Trump deranged ruling worthy of the worst jurists in the Third Reich, says Charlie Kirk. Correct. Ladies and gentlemen, again, name them and shame them. These are the jurists, if you wish to call them that, hardened Democrat, Marxist, communists. Colorado's gone full communist. Donald Trump's campaign says the Colorado ruling is completely flawed, and they will be appealing in the Supreme Court. Keep that in mind. That is really important. Watch this.
Just getting that breaking news about the Colorado State Supreme Court saying, based on the 14th Amendment and former President Trump's actions during January 6th, that he is not allowed to be on the ballot in Colorado. Just receiving word from the Trump campaign, a reaction to this ruling. Quote, unsurprisingly, the all-Democrat appointed Colorado Supreme Court has ruled against President Trump, supporting a Soros-funded left-wing group's scheme to interfere in an election on behalf of crooked Joe Biden by removing President Trump's name from the ballot and eliminating the rights of Colorado voters to vote for the candidate of their choice. Democrat Party leaders are in a state of paranoia over the growing dominant lead President Trump has amassed in the polls. They've lost faith in the failed Biden presidency and are now doing everything they can to stop the American voters from throwing them out of office next November. The Colorado Supreme Court issued a completely flawed decision tonight. We will swiftly file an appeal to the United States Supreme Court and a concurrent request for a stay of this deeply undemocratic decision. We have full confidence that the Supreme Court will quickly rule in our favor and finally put an end to these un-American lawsuits. Again,
so this is, okay, once again, it could be actually a very good thing what's happening here, and I'll explain. So here's the actual order, okay? Therefore, to maintain the status quo pending any review of the U.S. Supreme Court, we stay our ruling until January 4th, 2024. The day before the secretary's deadline to certify the content of the presidential primary ballot. So what does that mean? That means that the court stays their own ruling. That means their own ruling does not go into effect until January 4th, 2024, the day before the Colorado Secretary of State solidifies what the ballot is going to look like. Okay? So that's very interesting. So they're not even declaring it a rule right now. They're saying we're going to wait a couple weeks until there's a potential review before the Supreme Court, which there automatically was going to be, obviously. If the review is sought at the Supreme Court before the stay expires on January 4th, then the stay shall remain in place, and the Secretary will continue to be required to include President Trump's name on the 2024 ballot until the receipt of any order or mandate from the Supreme Court. So what does that say? So this says that Donald Trump's name will go on the ballot because Donald Trump was always going to appeal this ruling, duh. And so this is a fake ruling. That's what's really important here. Viva Frei saying the exact same thing. This is a fake ruling. So they stayed their own decision, and then they're effectively going to put Donald Trump's name on the ballot anyway. So they're just doing this in order to mess with people, in order to psyop you, in order to get a reaction and hope somebody pops off. So don't pop off. If you pop off, you're a Fed. If you see someone posting on a message board saying that horrible things should be done because they're trying to take Trump off the ballot, you're Fed. Because it's all fake. This is fake. It's really important. It's fake. It doesn't make it good. It doesn't make it good what they did. It just means that it's not real. Meaning they've built into this ruling, effectively like cowering and cut their own balls off in this ruling by saying, well, the Supreme Court can just come and do it for us. We just wanted to make a point. This is the equivalent of scrawling something in a bathroom wall in graffiti. Okay? That's it. It's like spray paint on the side of a train. It's about as important as this law is, this ruling is on paper. That's about as worthwhile as it is on paper. Colorado makes it clear that the point of all this lawfare against Trump is to keep him off the ballot now that they pretended it's about something else. It's not about something else. Speaker Mike Johnson, today's ruling attempts to disqualify Donald Trump from the Colorado ballot is nothing but a thinly veiled partisan attack, regardless of political affiliation. Every citizen registered to vote should not be denied the right to support the former president and the individual who's leader in every Republican poll. We trust the American Supreme Court will set aside this reckless decision and let the American people decide who is the next president of the United States. Pretty important that the Colorado ballot news, the ruling has stayed until early next year, allowing SCOTUS to weigh in. Yes. And this is what Clarence Thomas is doing right now, Colorado. Clarence Thomas's reaction to the Colorado ruling. Ladies and gentlemen, Vivek Ramaswamy texted me as well, saying that he will take his name off the ballot because he doesn't want to run in a state that is so corrupt. I pledge to withdraw from the Colorado ballot unless Trump is allowed to be on the state's ballot. I demand that Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, and Nikki Haley do the same immediately. And they should, absolutely. If a natural-born citizen in the United States is at least 35 years old, has been a resident for 14 years, and has not been convicted of treason, then he has constitutionally protected liberty to be on the ballot in any state. These are the preceding articles that, of course, make this ruling erroneous. The Babylon Bee, of course, perfectly. Op-ed, citizen being able to vote the ruling party out of power is an end of democracy. Yes, correct. Democrats warn that Republicans plan to steal election by blocking Democrats' effort to steal election. Correct. Marco Rubio, the U.S. put sanctions on other countries for doing exactly what the Colorado Supreme Court has done today, preventing people from running for democracy. Jim Jordan, quoting Archery, the pro-democracy party at work. This is ridiculous. Threat to democracy crowd is afraid of voters actually voting for their preferred candidate. It's a joke. And once again, it will backfire. Yes, Donald Trump is going to go up in the polls because of this. Unbelievable, says Ronnie Jackson. This was Ronnie Jackson, member of Congress, and also the former doctor to Donald Trump and Barack Obama. This is what the last days of a nation look like. What a partisan Colorado Supreme Court does is corrupt, outrageous, and un-American. They know they can't beat Trump, so they're rigging the election. He's right. This is what an entirely appointed Democrat governor's Supreme Court looks like. This is what the U.S. Supreme Court will look like if we allow court packing. So Vivek, effectively, I'm going to TLDR here, Vivek effectively saying, there's no way I'm going to be running in Colorado. I'm taking my name off the ballot because of this. The real reason why Democrats want Donald Trump removed. There it is. Here you go. Boom. There's your real reason right there, in case you're wondering. Again, the 14th Amendment based on insurrection is insane. The only person who died that day was a result of a gunshot wound was a Trump supporter at the hands of law enforcement, and no shootout broke out after this happened. So where's the supposed planned rebellion? Donald Trump never encouraged violence. He was speaking at a rally at the Capitol. He told people to peacefully protest, which is lawful. If you think January 6th is an actual rebellion and insurrection, you are a joke, says producer ALX. And Byron Donald saying, this is blatant disenfranchisement. Trump says it best. They're not after me. They're after you. I'm just in the way. They'll do it to all of us. They'll do it to everyone who's inconvenient for power. Don't fall for it. This is all to get headlines and to infuriate people and to inflame people. It's fake, but it's very, very real in the depths of its depravity and its horrors. It's actually showing how much we are winning. Think about it this way. They wouldn't be doing this. They know that this is going to backfire. They're doing this because they're desperate. They're scared. They're paranoid. And they are ready for defeat. Now, all we have to do is go defeat them. Stay based. Stay salty. It's your boy, Benny. See ya.
Yo, there we have it, guys. Coming from Benny. Definitely gonna be sure to leave that original video link down in the description box below for those of you guys who want to go and check that out. Also for you guys to go over there and show Benny some love. Bringing us this breaking news, guys. I know this has had the American citizens in an uproar for the last 24 hours since this ruling, and it seems like this is all a charade ruling, you know, trumped up, or this is all drummed up in order to, you know, spark the American citizens, trying to get people to do something. This is another example like J6, where, you know, there were feds in the crowd trying to, you know, amp people up to do things that they wouldn't do otherwise. And this is another poor attempt at that. They really think that people that support Trump are really that little-minded that they would go and, you know, commit crimes because of this ruling in the Supreme Court and not read between the lines. Seems like the Supreme Court has, you know, kind of put a muzzle on this whole ruling, saying that this ruling is stayed until January 4th, the deadline, the day before the deadline for the official ballot names to drop. Meaning that this isn't even in effect. This isn't, you know, something that's actually happening. This is just meant to spark up controversy, and get the American people going and get someone amped up to do something they wouldn't do otherwise, just like J6. This Supreme Court ruling coming from Colorado Supreme Court will definitely be reviewed by the United States Supreme Court. It's definitely going to be overturned before this even amounts to anything. This is literally another, drummed up case in order to spark up Trump supporters, to get someone fueled up, do something they wouldn't do otherwise. It's not going to work. Definitely stay calm. It seems like the left is the ones who are panicking the most. This is their last grab, their last straw. They are reaching for anything they can get in order to stop Trump from being on that 2024 ballot, because they know what's going to happen. They're seeing the polling like we're seeing the polling. We're seeing Trump projected to win in a landslide fashion on lots of these polls. And it's not just us seeing it. The left is also seeing it. This is another pathetic effort from the left in order to tarnish Trump's name. And this isn't going to work either. This is similar. This reminds me of the mugshot with the attention that it's getting from Americans across the country. We're seeing everyone tuned in, trying to see why Colorado, felt that they had base to rule on removing Trump's name from a ballot for something that he has never been convicted of. Just doesn't make sense. So we've got so much attention from Americans across the country looking at what's going on, and this is further gaining Trump more support. I feel like he's getting the most support now than he's ever seen, based on what the actions of the left. We've seen the left politicizing our legal system. They're out here, coming after Trump because his name is going on that 2024 election ballot. We've seen Trump say this time and time again. They're not actually after him, but they're actually after the American people, and Trump is just in the way. Acting as a hero for the American people in a sense. Now a lot more Americans are waking up because of the attention that they keep drawing. This is actually negatively affecting the left more so than they think, with the amount of attention that they're bringing onto Trump. This is making people want to do their research that wouldn't even bat an eye or think to look up Trump's name if he wasn't facing so many criminal charges, criminal, civil, and all these accusations. And now the Colorado Supreme Court trying to rule to take Trump's name off that 2024 ballot and then staying it at the same time, guys. It's all crumbling down for the left. Definitely hop in the comment section and let me know your thoughts, guys. Do you think the Colorado Supreme Court will be successful in keeping Trump's name off that ballot, or do you guys think this is all an effort to spark up some drama? Definitely hop in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are. Also, make sure you guys smash that like button, guys. It does not cost a thing. Hit that like button for your boy, and also hit that subscribe button as we're on the road to the truth. Hop aboard for the journey. I'll catch you guys on the next one. We go.